Hello guys and gals, welcome to the resource block, also known as I'm Help WC. Today we're going to be doing what's called Making a Passive Pirates, CoreGames PirateJam tutorial. It's a game jam that I worked on from Monday, September 19th through Monday, September 26th. Basically, the premise of the game is to run around, collect coins, and avoid the skeletons. If you die, you lose coins, and it's just testing to see how long you can go and not die. Hopefully you're ready to get started. All scripts will be linked below. If the link does not work for the notepads, then just check the website link down below and it should be pasted there. Alright, so let's just start on this screen right here. You're on the create screen. So first we're going to click create new and we're going to start up an empty project. I'm just going to call mine passive pirates, and you can just call it whatever you want to. I'm going to call mine passive pirates with an empty project. Now, for the sake of this, if you already have your own viewport already made correctly, then that's fine. But for now, I'm just going to click Reset View to Default, just so you guys can have an easy one set up. And this is how a default view should look like. You can do yourself a favor, you can X up this performance. It's not really too important for you right now. And you also want the window and event log open. And you can just drag that into here as a good spot. Alright, so let's get a coin. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create what's called a sphere. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to core content, we're going to go to search, and we're going to type in sphere, S-P-H-E-R-E, and that's pretty good. We can just drag it into the scene like that. We can just press F2 and rename it to coin. And then we can just go to the properties tab right here. As soon as we're at the properties tab, we can just set its position to 0, 0, 0, and you can see why now a little bit. I also want to right click. I also want to go to create gameplay object, and I want to go to create a trigger, and I'm going to call this coin pickup detect. And you're going to realize why I'm calling this later. That's such a long name. I do think it deserves the long name. And you want to make the coin a child of coin pickup detect. For now, just leave it as this one. So now we can move this around a little bit. So just move it around like this using the trigger. Alright, so now we're going to design the coin itself. So go to the coin, and we're just going to make a flat shape like this. I think I already have some values here, so I think 1.3 and 1 is good enough for me. If you want to see what these are called gizmos. Just make sure they're off for now. We don't really need them. I can make this a little bit taller. I can make this a little bit bigger. So I can use like what, 2. If you use 2 is fine. I want them to be pretty huge. Okay, yeah. So the one so now we're gonna throw material on it just to make it look good. So we're gonna throw wallpaper, J-A-P. It's called Japanese wallpaper Japanese waves 1, and this looks pretty cool. Alright, so now we're going to fix the trigger on the coin itself. So again, if you don't have the gizmo selected, just press B, just so you can see all this. If you cannot see this, make sure it's B. If by some reason you changed it, you can always go to edit and your settings, and you can always just check your bindings to see if you have the gizmos toggle a different button and you didn't realize that you changed it. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to go and move this coin away from spawn, because if we spawn in the game right now, then we're kind of going to spawn in the coin, and we don't really want to do that. So for the sake of things, we're going to move it away from our player. So now I'm going to press B. I'm going to show the trigger. So now I'm going to unparent the coin. Now I'm going to unparent the trigger from the coin. And I'm going to show you guys why. Because if I wanted to do something like this, like that, I would have to make it uniformly scaled, right? So the parent would have to be uniformly scaled, and this is basically how it turned out, and we do not want that. So what I'm going to have to do is like a trick option. It's annoying really, but it gets the job done. So I can do something like this, 2, 2, and then 2. So you can see that covers the coin pretty well. So now I can throw this as a child again on the coin, and so there you go. Alright, so now we can play test the game. If you play test the game, basically you can see that we now have a giant circle, but it has a color, it has shapes, but it doesn't function. Well, let's change that here today, shall we? Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is basically we're going to go select that coin. We're going to go click the coin pickup detect, and we're going to right click, and then we're going to go to create scripts, create scripts and gameplay assets. create new script, and I'm going to call this coin pickup script. You can call this whatever you want. I just like being super verbal. I think coin pickup is fine. It doesn't really have to be anything special. Coin pickup is nice. Okay, so now we just double click to open it up, and then it opens up in our preferred editor of choice. You can use whatever editor you want to. I just like using Visual Studio. This will work in any type of editor. So the first thing we want to do is that we want to go to the Create Script tab, because developers are lazy and they like to make it life easier. We're going to create something called a script generator, and basically it's going to tell us when our player enters the trigger for the coin, and it's going to be called trigger overlap. So you see there's a couple things here. It's called inputs, begin overlap, end overlap, and interacted. So we don't really need interacted here, because what interacted is that you press F on an object and you make the object go do something. So let's say I press F on a cube and the cube starts spinning. That would be interacted, so we don't need that. We don't need end overlap. End overlap is something like, let's say you walk into a house and you say hello. That would be a begin overlap. End overlap is when you walk outside the house and then they'll wave goodbye. That means like you're leaving. So we don't need end overlap. All we need is just begin overlap. So I can just copy the clipboard, X that out. I can open Visual Studio. And once I open Visual Studio, I can just press Control D, and this should work as normal. So then basically just press play, and then go to my event log right here, and then coin pickup detect, begin trigger overlap with I'm healthy WC. And if you guys want to know how I did that in play mode, I just used my middle mouse click to go towards the project content, core content, community content, and event log. You see I was able to go to my event log during play mode, and that's how I do it. So you can see every time I touch it, literally it was that easy. Begin trigger overlap with I'm healthy WC. It's literally that easy, just to get the basics. Like it already knows the name of my trigger, which is coin pickup detect, and it knows that it's a trigger. It knows that I am overlapping it, and it knows the name of my character, which is I'm healthy WC. So to pause it again. Alright, so now we're going to reference the coin right here, and we're going to reference the coin pickup detect inside the script. So you want to make sure that these are referenced inside, and so now once they're referenced, you can just go and copy them. I wish this was an easier way to copy these, but that's okay. I'm going to go all the way back and copy them, Control C, and open Visual Studio once more, and we can get rid of this trigger right here. We don't really need this. And we're going to edit this a tiny bit. I don't really like how they do. I don't really like how they do this. I don't really like how they use a lot of caps lock. I don't like using caps lock. I like using camel case. So I'm going to do coin pickup detect like that with a lowercase c, just so we have good naming conventions. So this is my trigger right here. So I'm basically going to go replace this with this. And then that's it. And then it would still work the exact same way. So if I press play, coin pickup detect, you can trigger overlap when I'm helping WC. So all we did was just change the name of one trigger with the name of another trigger. And we got rid of the script.parent. And we just got rid of that at the top. Pretty easy, right? Okay, so now I'm gonna change this other to player, because it says trigger and player. And maybe other doesn't sound like a good name that you want to use, so we can always just change up the player. So I'm going to switch other right here, and I'm going to switch the other over here. And there you go. Same issue, plus play, no errors, once more. It doesn't really change anything, but does make everything feel nicer and easier to understand. So make sure to change other with player, so you now know that you're referencing the player and not just, what is other? Well, other is a player. Well, that's confusing. So now we can start adding points, right? Because as we know, we can start interacting with this coin, and we can start, doing a couple of things with it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to core content. I'm going to go to this core content tab right here. I'm going to type in resource, RESOURCE, and there's a couple things here, but the one that we want is what's called resource display. There is resource pickup, but resource pickup doesn't work as well as just making your own coin. I'll probably make a different video on that later, but it leaves a lot. Okay, but we're just going to use resource display. It works amazingly well. We're just going to drag it into our hierarchy. We could change the position of it, make sure it's a 0, 0, 0. It doesn't really matter. We're not really going to mess with it. It is a 0, 0, 0. We're not going to mess with it, but we are going to mess with these right here. So resource name, always show pop-up duration. These right here are super important. A lot of these are basically self-explanatory. Like all you really gotta do is just hover over it and read it for a little bit. But basically, the main thing that you want to pay attention to is the resource name. This is the name that you have to use everywhere. This is like now a global script that would appear anywhere in your game. So if you use it on any other script, the script will know immediately what it's pointing to. But to know that, you have to keep the string the actual name. So let's say I call this resource name coins. That means that every time when I'm coding in my game, I now have to reference coins directly, right? And I have to spell it correctly. So if I spell something like pop like this, I would have to reference that. And you can just copy and paste it, so that's not too hard. But that can always be prone to errors, so make sure you take, if you're going to make a money system, make sure you make your money names easy to remember. Okay, so yeah, resource name, we can just call it coins. It doesn't have to be too much of anything special. We can always show it. So basically what we can do is that after a short time, so let's say like 1 second, pop-up duration to show when there's a change, always show. So see if I press play, you can see it's not there, right? And it only pops up only when I have, only when I pick up an item. And I'll show you an example right now. Don't follow along with this one. But if I have coins right here, I press play and I can go to this and it'll pop up for like a little bit and it disappears immediately on the top right. So I'll do it again. Start in preview mode. Okay, so I'll pick up this. Gem and you'll see the icon appear in the top right. There you go, and then it disappears. So that's always show. I like having always show on. We can delete this pickup. That was just an example. But we can go to display. We can have always show on. Basically means that when we start the game, it'll always be in the top right or wherever we set it. Okay, so now on the resource display, we have the pop-up duration, which I already showed you. We have a max value. We don't want a max value. Basically, this could be something like a resource. Like let's say that you're making a game and you want like a weight limit system, and you don't want the player to capture more resources than they should. Progress bar, same thing. You can mess around with progress bars and do cool things with them. Show text, whether to show text, show the current value, and we do want to show that. We do want to show the text, and to show max text, we don't have, it's basically just like saying like 0 out of 100, right? Like the max text is, it's like the minimum is 0, the max is 100. That's easy to explain. Okay, so yeah, so there we go. Now we have the resource display. We can always change the resource display and its UI. So we just by going to panel, and we change a lot of the things right here. By going to background, by opening up the client context and going to background. We can change the background itself, so you can see a little bit of the background kind of changing. I could make it a little bit bigger, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger just to see it. I'm going to maybe make it with like let's make the width 300, 500. I think 300 is fine. We're not really going to focus on making it pretty. It doesn't have to be pretty. If you want to make it pretty, I would expect you to do so for your own type of thing, for your own type of game. We can move the X also maybe like minus 20, minus 50, minus 60. Yeah, we can do that, and then we can move this up by minus 60 again. There we go. So we move that all the way up in the air. You can change the image, you can change the background. You can do whatever you wish, whatever is available right now. So I can change this to something like, let's just like a nice circle. Nice little circle. We do like a color on it. Let's make the color a nice warm blue. Okay, and then we can change the progress bar if we had a max value, but we don't really have a max values. We don't really need to change the progress bar. That's not important. We have text, so change the text. And this basically just shows the amount of coins that you have. So I could just put coins as an example, COINS. I'm gonna make this super huge, like 100, for example. So you can see that is one way that we can do things. And we can press play, and you immediately already see the changes. It doesn't look like amazing changes, but you can see that the small changes I've made, I can fix that if I want to do so. Yeah. Okay, so we go back to text. You can just, and this is something that you can always play around with. You can always do specific things like -5, maybe -6, -9. I'm trying to get this a little over Maybe not minus 120. Minus 60 seems fine. Okay, yes, minus 60 seems okay. All right, so yeah. So while you're in the background, you can basically just open up the background, and now you get the icon to it. So now you can change the icon to, again, whatever that you wish. I was looking a bit through here earlier, and you could just go through like hundreds of these. And, I don't really have to explain the same thing. Just mess with these offline. It's super easy to get through, but we can just go search up coin purse, and I think the coin purse looks really cool. So I can go change the X offset. I'm gonna change the width actually to about 100. I kind of want to make it huge, I want to make it huge, and I want people to see it pretty well. So it's like 500. Why not? Well, let's kind of exaggerate this a little bit. There we go. So now you do coins, and then we do the 0, and then look at that. It is centered pretty perfectly now. It's pretty easily. So okay. So now let's start the adding process of adding the numbers on the coin. Okay. So now here comes the coding part again. So basically, what you want to do is you want to open up the coin pickup script. So you want to make sure this is open, and we're going to be using something called add resource. You can basically set it on the player. I'll show you how to do it. So basically, what you want to do is you want to do local. Do not do that. You want to do local resource 1 equals, and this has to be the same name, the exact same name. I'll make it easier for you guys, so you guys can follow along. So make sure you go to resource display. This has to be the exact same name as your resource name, the one for here. If it is not, you will make errors. It has to be exactly the same thing. Use yourself a finger and copy and paste it. So just Control B, and there you go. So now it's local resource 1. So guess what happens? It's easy as just this. Player, which is the name of your player, which the game already knows who the player is. I'm helping WC, or in your case, it'll probably be like CoolBand46. So we do add resource, and then we do the name of the resource, which is called coins. Right now, as you see, we're using a variable. Use variables, please. It is important to use variables. Don't use specific hard-coded names, because then you might have to change coins on everything in every single script, and it's a lot easier just to use resource 1 and only change this single script right here. So yeah, so now you just do resource 1, and then the name on what we want to give. So let's just say I want to give my player 1 coin when they begin to trigger overlap, right? So let's just press play, coin, and I basically just walk through the overlap, and I get 1 coin. Wow, insane, crazy, right? Don't it? So now this isn't very fun, still. It's just still not there yet. But you can see I am getting coins, and I can change the order in whichever way I want to as soon as I enter the overlap. You can see it printing every single time, 9 and 10. Okay, so now let's make this number a little bit higher. Let's say we make this number like 10 or 100 or 1,000. We then do that, we press play into the overlap, and we get 1,000 coins for that. So as you can see, you can do powerful things with the trigger, and resources. So I can give out like 10,000, 8, 9,000, 9,000, and 10,000. That's going a little bit off the screen. So if you make bigger numbers, make sure to accommodate for that by not pushing so close towards the edge. Okay. Oh, okay. So now a lot of things about this script are kind of boring, right? Like I'm looking at the script and I can't walk through the coin. The coin doesn't disappear. The coin doesn't do anything. I can keep going back and forth to it. We want a coin that disappears when we touch it, and that will come back after a few seconds, right? So basically, right now, what we have is the coin reference. So we want to use the reference of the coin on this script. So right now, what I'm going to do is that when I touch the coin, I want to basically just walk through the coin, right? When I touch the coin, I want the collision to be off for about 5. I just want collision turned off. How about that? For now, we'll just start. When we're making the collision turned off. So, whenever the player, so basically, as you can see before, let's put this at normal value of 1. Whenever the player touches the trigger, they'll begin the overlap. They'll add the resource. And then we can make the coin dot collision equal to collision dot force off. Okay, so what did we just do? Right now, what we're doing is we're telling this script to say, hey, go to this coin and turn off its collision, right? And collision sounds pretty easy, right? Okay, if something, can you collide with this object? Yes or no? If you cannot collide with it, you go straight through it. If you can't collide with it, you'll stop right at it. Humans can't walk through walls, but just think they're ineffective. Okay, so collision force off, and so as soon as I touched it, it will go force off, and now I'll be able to walk through the script again. So as soon as I enter the trigger, non-network object. Okay, so make sure that you network the object. So basically, all you have to do, attempt to modify a field or non-network object. Try marking the object as network and move it to a prime content folder. All you have to do is just right-click it and enable networking. If you don't really understand networking, I'll leave a video for that down below. It's a little bit tedious, but okay. Yeah, so let's do the logs. Try this again. It should work. So now we walk through it. And now we can just walk through the overlap. So yeah, so now it's not going to fix itself by any chance, but now that's just one part of it done. So now we can walk through the coin, and now when we walk through the coin, there you go. It still counts as a point, but now there's no cooldown, right? And that kind of sucks. There's like a weird small cooldown. Basically, it's kind of just like the game, kind of just waiting. But like I can just keep walking through this all day long, but like no penalties, and that's not really fun. Also, so let's do what's called a local coin picked up boolean, and I'm going to name this to false. Okay, and we're also probably going to move a little bit faster here, so I can do coin picked up equals to false. So once the coin picked up is equal to false, we can then make it true later on. So collision equals force off, and then we can also make the visibility turn off. So we can do coin dot visibility, lowercase v, visibility equals visibility, and the same logic, force off. Remember, we're still going to the coin, so we go to coin pick up protect coin, and we're still messing with this force on, force off, and inherent from parent. Inherent from parent meaning it's just grabbing whatever is happening here. Okay, so now we can change the visibility, as you can see, to that. So now that's force off. Now we can do a task dot wait. So what's going to happen here is that we can do a task dot wait for 5 seconds. We can then Control C, Control V's again. We can then do Control C, Control V, and there you go. So now we can do force on. Now we do force on, and now we can do like this. Now let's see if the dust is working, right? Now what happens? We go to the coin, and it disappears. Look at that. Now we wait a little bit of seconds, about like 5 seconds, give or take, and we walk through the coin again. There you go. So now here's the problem. You see, I'm still interacting with the trigger. So if I have the coin pick up checked, I don't think you can't really see triggers inside the preview mode. It does suck, but that's fine. But like you see, I can keep walking back and forth even though there's no coin. So that's why we made that boolean variable, which we'll now use. We'll basically use that as like a debounce, and that's basically what you'll hear a lot when you're searching through a lot of tutorials and whatnot. It's not waiting 5 seconds. It's kind of interesting. I wonder if it's because something is broken. Well, we'll fix that. Okay, so now what we want to do is that we want to basically say coin picked up equals to false, right? So when the player grabs it, their coin picked up will be equals to false, right? So, but now when they grab it, their coin picked up will be equal to true. So what does that mean? I don't have a coin, and now I pick up a coin. There's now a coin in my hand. Before, there wasn't a coin in my hand. So since now I picked up a coin, I now have a coin in my hand. No coin in hand is false. Coin in hand is true. That's a simple example. I wait 5 seconds. The coin disappears. I do not have a coin in my hand again. Now I can pick up another coin. So I cannot pick up a coin until that coin disappears. So same logic here. So you do equals to true. And then I'll wait 5 seconds, and then we can say the same thing again. I Control C, Control V, and then we can just do false right here. Okay, yeah, we're back. Okay, I forgot to set something. If player is a player and coin picked up equals false, then we set it to true, and then we set it back to false. So now if I play it again, I can go like this, and then you can see I do not collect the coin, because it is not waiting 5 seconds. So I now have to wait 5 seconds, like this. So now I cannot pick up the coin no more because the coin pickup is currently false. It's currently set to true, so it's going to wait for 5 seconds. and then after those 5 seconds, coin pickup is now going to be false again. So now I can pick up the coin, and then it'll let me allow me to win points. So, alright, yeah. Okay, so yeah, so this is a simple coin collection for you guys today in Core. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. We're going to be going through the entire game I've showed you today. I mean, on the game jam, it's not something super difficult and complex. I do realize this site does need a lot more tutorials on hand. So if you guys would like to subscribe, also subscribe, like the video, and tell your friends about it. And I'll like to see you guys later for another video. Make sure you label all your suggestions down below and let me know what you think of this video and the future videos that we can make, and any more tutorials in the future. Alright, see you guys later. Peace and spot.